Hey folks, and welcome back to another Weaver's Woodshop. And this week I will be making a 4-tier blanket ladder. And what you see me doing there is measuring up the side rails. I believe I went with about 6 foot long on the side rails, which the side rails is what's going to determine how tall it is. And I've got one cut, and I went ahead and I butted it up after flushing the ends together. And what I'm doing there at the tape measure is I'm just double checking, the whole measure twice, cut once type deal. And again, just double checking so when it is leaned up against the wall, you don't have the whole wobble weeble thing going on. And now what I'm doing is I'm running all the boards through the planer just to get any cuppage out of them before I go ahead and start trimming on them a little bit more. And now we're back over to the miter saw, adjusting up to 15 degrees, which is where I will have the bottom of the ladder rack to help it get that nice lean back against the wall. That's where the bottom, the feet of the ladder rack will be, is 15 degrees. I went ahead and put the one board that I had the 15-degree angle cut in and laid it on top of the other one, so I'd be sure to have it, all matched up and ready to go, and both angles cut in the same place and everything matched up just right. And now I'm cutting the stairs where the blankets will actually hang over on these, and I believe I went with 20 inches here. And you can look around for whatever plans or directions you want. People go from anywhere from about 16 inches to about 22 inches. Like I said, I went with about 20 inches for my steps on this. And now we're over to the table saw because I am trimming everything down from 5.5 inches to about 4 inches. Just because the 5.5 inches is going to look way too big in my opinion. And so I'm trimming everything down to about 4 inches. And if you like these videos and want to see more, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, and don't be afraid to share. Thank you. And now here I am sanding. You can tell that I'm sanding with the 80 grit just because I have the mask on. And I've said it before, my 80 grit sandpaper got given to me a long time ago. And it does not have the holes in it in order for my shop vac, in order, to suck all the dust up. So I wear my mask. But my shop vac slash dust extraction does work really well with this Metabo HPT sander here. So when you see me without the mask, that means that I've got the 5-hole sandpaper on there like now. So that's what I'm doing now. I've now got everything down to 120, and because it's a lot easier to sand it now than before I get everything put together. So now I'm sanding it, getting ready to put it together. Now that everything's sanded and ready to go ahead and stain, I am setting everything out. I'm going to set my stairs at 12 inches apart. I noticed right as I get everything just set apart that I got my stairs trimmed to 4 inches. And you can notice here too, I forgot to trim my side rails to 4 inches. So you'll see here in a minute when I come back and start marking, I have went ahead and trimmed my side rails also. There we go. Now you can see that the stairs and the side rails are the same width. And I had to go ahead and sand those side rails real quick again, just to get any burrs or anything that may have been, caused by the blade running it through the table saw again. So now what I'm doing is I'm marking 12 inches on both side rails just so I know where to go ahead and put those stairs. And now that everything is marked up, and you'll be able to see that I have the pocket holes drilled on those stairs, I glued it up, and I'm going to go ahead and set them in place. And you'll see the little pocket hole clamp that I use. I don't really know exactly what it's called, but it's a Kreg, some sort of little vice grip, self-adjusting vice grip, that one end goes into the pocket hole and just kind of keeps it tight in there. Like I said, it's self-adjusting, so it doesn't mark up the wood or anything, and it keeps it tight right where it needs. It keeps it snug. It doesn't really keep it tight. It doesn't mark up the wood or anything. And then you put one screw in, and you take that vice grip, that clamp out, and you go ahead and you put the other screw in. And I'll do that down this whole side, and then we'll do it down the other side as well. Now here I am, after I have everything glued and screwed, just cleaning up any squeeze out that I have from the glue, because it's much easier to clean it up now, especially since I've already sanded everything. It's much easier to clean it up now with just a little paper towel than it is to clean it up after it's gotten dried, because the idea behind sanding everything beforehand is I won't be sanding after it's dried. And now that we've gotten the one side taken care of, now it's time to move on to the other side. I got the glue all down, and now I'm going to move to the top rail, or the other side rail, and I'm going to set it down and line up my marks that are at every 12 inches, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to use that same self-adjusting pair of clamps, and I will clamp it down in one hole, put a screw in it, and go right on down that side. And now that everything is put together, I went ahead and pre-stained it a little bit ago. And the pre-stain I use says to wait between 10 minutes and 30 minutes. So I waited that allotted time, and now I'm out there putting the first coat of stain on it. And with this, I believe I put 4 coats of stain on it, just because after the first 2 coats, I wanted it just a little bit darker than what it had come out. So that's why I went ahead and put 2 more coats on it. Between each coat, I lightly sanded it with 220 grit sandpaper, and I waited about 3 hours between each coat, because that's what this particular stain calls for. Each stain is just a little bit different, so just be sure to check your directions for that. And I just used an old sock to put the stain on, and just wiped it with the grain, but also kind of in a circular motion. So then after the stain dried, I did put a semi-gloss polyurethane on it, and I believe I put 2 coats of that, and same thing between the coats. I lightly sanded with a 220 grit between each coat of that. And so here's the finished product, a 4-tier blanket ladder. So thank you guys for sticking around and watching this episode of Weaver's Wood Shop. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share. We'll see you next week.